I don't know about
talking
you, but in
about.
'95 is when I was wearing Zeke Cavarici
Oh,
jeans.
Zeke Cavarici.
I
My
mean,
husband was wearing Zeke
In
Cavarici.
95,
come on now.
that's 4 years past the prime of them. They were back in NC
Shut up,
Hammer days.
man.
Yeah.
That's the
Oh.
first time TJ Maxx got Zeke Cavaricis. What are you saying? Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Biz Dev Podcast, the podcast about developing your business. I'm David Baxter, your host, joined per usual by Gary Voigt, who is in all khaki today.
Yes.
What's up? You're getting boring, more and more boring every time I see you.
You're wearing the
Which is
same
impressive.
color, which is pretty
Shut
funny.
up, man. No, look, you're famous. Okay, if you're watching
Oh,
YouTube,
yeah.
I'm wearing, okay, so this was a quote. It says, "You can't spell fail without AI." This was
I
one
love
of Gary's quote, and Christy, our marketing person, made us these t-shirts for Christmas. And I was like, what? I haven't worn it yet. So I worn it.
You were supposed to let
wore
me
it.
know. We were supposed to coordinate and wear them both on the same time.
Oh,
but-
no. See, I can't wear
on
the
the
same
same
thing
show,
you
I
are.
should
It makes
say.
me feel bad. But anyway, so there you go. There's my quote of the day. It's actually Gary's quote, but you can't spell fail without AI. That's good stuff. Anyway,
Don't worry.
more
You
important.
usually
What?
attribute quotes to the wrong person all the time. So
I
go ahead
usually
and take
just
that
don't
one.
attribute anything. I just say words and say someone said it. That's
Yeah,
the
I
end
heard
of
this
my
somewhere.
knowledge. I am so bad at that. Let's talk to somebody more important. Joining us this week is Wendy Coulter, who is the CEO of the Hummingbird Creative Group. Hello, welcome.
Hi, Gary. Hi, David. Nice to see you guys. Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
I'm not sure I like
Nice.
her, Gary. She talked to you first. I'm not.
Nice to
Oh.
meet you, Wendy. Yes, David is
It's-
pretty unimportant, especially when it
And
comes to
I'm
creative
pretty
stuff,
boring
so-
today because I rarely wear just black.
But you have a hummingbird.
You have a
necklace,
hummingbird.
So
You're on brand. That's very nice.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Should we also
So-
mention that hummingbird is reached a pretty big milestone, or should we let her?
30
Well, I mean,
years.
30 years. Yeah, you got to
30
let you
years
nice
in
tee up there.
2025. Yeah.
30
That
years.
is crazy. I'm gonna have to dive into that. But first, tell me about Hummingbird. Just give me the overall. What are we doing there?
Yeah, so we are a branding company. We are focused on helping our clients build their business value through better branding. And what that means is when you have a really strong brand orientation in the marketplace, your business is actually more valuable. You can get a higher valuation, you can have higher sales. And so we come at marketing from a little bit different perspective in that way. We understand words like EBITDA, and a lot of marketers don't know what that is. And so we're all the time trying to just help push our clients to understand and continue to make sure that your brand is strong and that you're differentiating so that you can claim that greater valuation.
So does that mean you're a traditional marketing in terms of practicality, but your flavor is it's all about brand?
Yes. So
I'll
we
tell
lead
you-
with brand,
Say
and
again?
we lead with brand, and
Okay.
we always want to do very traditional branding activities first, but we are a full service marketing agency. So once we get that brand established, we can do anything that a client needs to in terms of their marketing plan.
Man, Gary is just so excited to talk to you because he had been drilling a hole in my very large head about branding for so many years. I'm trying to think. This is even before he joined really as a full-time employee, but once he did, he's I'm just throwing money down a hole. That was what I was like. Marketing is just a hole. I'm tired of throwing money down it.
That's
And
what
he's
David
like,
said,
dude,
not Gary said.
Yeah, that's fair. I am the one saying that. It's a hole. I'm just throwing money down this hole. I'm seeing nothing from it. And he says to me, hey, if you don't, you're going to be half the company you think you will be in 5 years. And I'm like, I hate you, but okay. And we started doing, and I don't like to use the word right, and we haven't, I'm not saying we've doubled or anything like that, but I can't deny the fact that when I go out into public, every once in a while, people do know who we are, which is weird, first off, because I've been doing this. It'll be 12 years this month. We were talking about that earlier.
Awesome.
And for most of that, no one has a clue who we are. And it's not like we're going to ever be a household name, but in certain circles, some people have, oh, I've seen you on LinkedIn, which is very cool. And there are so many ways to, but and even more so than that, he was more specific, saying that it's all about branding at first. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're saying. I'm a
Right.
nerd. I'm a developer that moonlights as a bad designer. But when he's saying this stuff, I just have to trust him, which is so hard because look at him. But I have to say that that's as close as you're going to get to a compliment, Gary.
Is 100% right, but I can't get the
There
credit
you
from you,
go,
so I
Gary.
understand that.
I agree with you. You're absolutely 100% right. And I think when you focus on understanding what your differentiation is, then your culture grows, your confidence grows, and your sales will follow. And that's what it's all about.
Now, okay, let me get real specific here. So you are working with a company and the owner, because I'm assuming that when you're doing branding early on, you have to be working with the owner, right? That vision has to come from the owner, at least initially.
Exactly. Yes.
And this
Or a
owner,
leadership team if it's a bigger company. But yes,
fair.
it's going to be the top
I would hope if they're a
people.
bigger company, they've already figured some of this out, but I guess that's not true. That's
It's
so interesting.
amazing how few companies have figured it out. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, now you're making me go into a whole different realm of questions. But let me go to put a pin in that if I can remember. But if you're working with a leadership team, let's just assume for an effort, it's a founder. And this founder has the charisma of a thumbtack
Mhm.
and maybe cares about brand enough. They brought you in, right? So you've got that going for you. But they don't know anything about their own company, right? How do you draw that out of them? This is a non-creative fuddy-duddy of a human being, which not uncommon in business ownership, really. Usually they're execution kind of people, very focused.
Mhm.
How do you get a brand out of that person? How do you drag that out?
So the wonderful thing is that we don't have to get it out of that person. We can get it out of their customers. We can get it
Okay.
out of their team and learn about what the brand really is. If it's an existing brand, it's there for some reason. There's some success. So what is that? Why is that? What's that secret sauce or that differentiation that makes them able to go to market? And it's there. There's something there. You've just got to find it. So we do a lot of insight. We do market research with existing clients. Sometimes we'll call up prospects or lost leads and find out why they didn't buy or why they haven't bought yet, and what really makes that brand different and why they would refer their friends. A whole lot of questions around that. And then
Okay.
listening for language. So, what words do they use when they describe this company? Because those are the words we want to put back out to prospective clients. We want a vocabulary. Oftentimes, it's much better if the leadership doesn't talk to us and lets us talk to the customers because we're going to get a much better language to use than if it's all built in the boardroom. So,
Okay. So now for my next question, let's say you go, it's a company, it's an existing company, they've been doing it, but they're not any good. And you go out to their company, they've been around a while, but it's your job to get a branding out of these guys and turn them around. But you go and talk to their customers, and the only words I can come up with are crappy, irresponsible, don't enjoy that. You know what I'm saying? That's got to be a thing. Do you just, this is too much. You guys, there's no brand to pull out of here? Or do
so
you just
yeah.
craft?
No, a couple of thoughts on that. First of all, very few companies get to the place of hiring us that are in that situation
Fair.
because they don't understand it. They're not interested. They're not
Mhm.
going to engage and spend that kind of money.
Sure.
But we have made calls where we did receive negative feedback, and we look at that as an opportunity. So we actually bring that back to the team and have a conversation about it, and then they get to decide how they are going to answer to that. And we've helped companies save clients that were about to walk because frankly they got to vent to us as a third party, and then someone actually picked up the phone and called them and showed that they cared, and that's really all that was needed to turn that around. Most of the time when a company cares enough to hire us, then when they make an effort to talk to the customer, they can answer to why something did happen the way that it happened and at least repair the reputation. If they don't get the client to stay or they don't get them back, they at least get a chance to defend themselves and maybe explain a little bit more. And so I think it's always a positive thing, even if there's a negative response to our questions.
As we said earlier, you guys have been around for 30 years this year, which is huge and very cool. What has changed in the last 30 years?
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything has changed in the last 30 years.
I mean, the
Technology is
concept of branding's the same, right?
yeah.
As a whole, it was the idea of everything we've set up to this point that you need branding, you need to do this, we need to talk. Has that changed? Was that something very different 30 years ago?
That has changed. Back then, I would hear, I need a logo. I would hear, and I still hear that today from startups, but I would hear more about the tactical pieces. The word branding wasn't so on the scene in 1995. Apple was Macintosh and brands were not what they are today. You wanted to wear some Levi's jeans, but you weren't saying, oh, look at that branding. Like, that just wasn't what we were
I don't know about
talking
you, but in
about.
'95 is when I was wearing Zeke Cavaricci
Oh,
jeans.
Zeke Cavaricci.
I
My
mean,
husband was wearing Zeke
In
Cavaricci.
come on
95,
now.
that's 4 years past the prime of them. They were back in
Shut up, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's the
Oh,
first time TJ Maxx got Zeke Cavaricci's. What are you saying?
I think I met James in 91, and I think he was wearing a pair of Zeke Cavaricci's that
No,
time.
90 95 probably is not the right year. It doesn't it was around that time.
yeah,
But
mid-90s.
they still my point is they had brands that people wanted, but they were I agree with you, much smaller and not as my
Right.
son, a good example of that is cars.
Yeah.
My son is he loves hypercars and all those crazy cars. And I remember as a kid, when it came to supercars, there were like 2. There was Lamborghini and there was Ferrari, and that was it. Like maybe Porsche, maybe. But now there's 300 of these things. It's
Right.
because we just had no idea they were been around. Bugatti and all of those were there, but we had no idea on this side that they were even companies.
Yeah, they
And now,
weren't
of course, they're
building
all
brand
just
awareness at that
yeah.
point. And I
Yeah.
think as media has changed and as
Yeah,
the
the
internet
internet for
has come
sure.
into play, you see all of those competitors just fighting out when it comes to the brand game and how are they going to differentiate, because everyone can see them now. Everything is so much more transparent. And so that's one of the big things that has changed is it's so competitive online. And so you can't just go to market saying, I'm another accountant. You can't just go to market saying, I'm another restaurant. You've got to express why someone would choose you. And that's why brand, I think, has become a bigger buzzword and a bigger activity for leadership teams to pay attention to. The other thing I think that is different is the way that we deal with employee engagement and culture. And so now you have a lot of brands that are focused on social causes because they want their team to feel engaged and embedded in what they do. You didn't see near as much of that until recent years, where people like really want their team to be a part of that bigger cause so that they'll stay longer, they'll be more engaged at work, and all those things that we battle in business with trying to have longer term team members so it's not quite as costly.
I want to get really practical here. So, one of the things that companies like mine, service-based businesses, they are shackled, that's the right word for it, with the founder's charisma, right? The founder runs this thing, right? And
Right.
without that founder, the business is half, if not worse, without. Right? Lots of businesses do that, but brand is a way out of that to a point. Obviously, the founder just needs to let go. But assuming that's what they're doing, how does brand help in that regard?
Oh, brand absolutely helps in that regard. A great story I'll tell you about a woman here locally who owned a QuickBooks consulting company. And her company name was her name. And she was getting to a point where she was trying to figure out, okay, what do I do next? Do I just shut my doors? Do I sell the company? Have I really built enough value to sell the company? I'm not sure. Have I created packages that someone else could take over and service? Sure. And so she and I met at a local networking event, and she just started talking to me about how long she had been in business and what she did. And I always found it interesting. And I'm just going to say Jane Doe, right? She would always say, I'm Jane Doe with Jane Doe Consulting. And she never explained what the company did. And so everyone was just like, they knew her by name, they knew who she was, but they had no idea what she could do for them or how she was different. Like, she might say, we can help you with your QuickBooks. But what I learned as I worked with her is that QuickBooks was not really what they were the best. They were the best at helping a company figure out the strategy of creating profit and the strategy of making sure that they were going to be successful over time. And all of her customers used QuickBooks, right? So QuickBooks was more like a target market than it was a what we do. They actually went a lot deeper than that. And so we were able to use the branding process to talk to her clients and find this out. I would have never found it out from talking to her because she was Jane Doe with Jane Doe Consulting. And she used she helped people with their QuickBooks. But when we started talking to her customers, we got to understand how deep they went, how much they cared about their clients, and really the true value they provided, which was much bigger than helping them with their QuickBooks. So I think that's a pretty easy explanation of how that can go and how successful that can be for a B2B service company.
Big Pixel builds world-class custom software and amazing apps. Our team of pros puts passion into every one of our projects. Our design-infused development leans heavily on delivering a great experience for our clients and their clients. From startups to enterprises, we can help craft your ideas into real-world products that help your business do better business.
If you are not creative, or you can't draw, you're not a designer, it is almost, when you come from it from that angle, you're the secretary or you're the me. So when I'm not working, I'm building this video game and I'm using AI art because I can't draw.
Right.
And on one hand, I'm like, man, this is taking me 20 tries to get it the way I want it. But then the other side of it is I would never be able to do any of this at
Right.
Yeah.
all. And it looks miraculous to someone who doesn't know what they're looking at. And this includes me. Because I can't draw, I don't know what it takes to draw. It's just not a talent I've ever had. And so when I say make a guy who looks like this and doing that, and it gets 90% there, that's just magic to me.
Oh, it's
Like,
it can
yeah,
be
he might have a
Yeah.
weird finger, right? I mean, you might have to go figure that out. And my trick is, if you're using AI for anything right now, the best thing you could do is just don't make it realistic. Make it a drawing, make it something not photo. Everyone wants photorealistic. That is a whole nother level because humans are so well trained to see a human. It's in our DNA.
I
We are
bet we
very
could
good
get
at
a little
spotting humans.
mailman guy out of AI pretty easily.
Yes,
Oh,
like you
yeah,
can
yeah,
make the
yeah.
little guy
Right.
with the big wrench, right? You can make him all day and he will look amazing.
Right.
And when I'm doing my little game, I purposefully am doing this like hand-drawn style.
Mhm.
And you zoom in, you can see some of the really wavy lines, weird stuff
Right.
like just AI does. But if you're at a normal space, it looks amazing. And I think a lot of people just get stuck on, I want to make something look like a photograph. That takes 10 times, if not longer. Go take a photo. Just
Yeah.
you'll do a better job. Just go outside, take a photo. Because AI just
Absolutely.
cannot, everyone looks a little plastic. And I
Yeah.
don't think we're
Yeah.
anywhere close to that because it's so hard. The uncanny valley has been around since computers are around. It's just
Right.
a thing.
Well, Wendy, I wanted to ask you, since you have many successful years of experience marketing, and I'm assuming you've done marketing and branding for both startups and bigger companies, what would you say are your top 3 pieces of advice for a new business just getting started?
So, for a new business just getting started in the realm of marketing, I think number one is like we've been talking about with AI and all of the new things that you can do, you can really get caught up in tactics. You can get caught up in posting to social media all the time. You can get caught up in just trying to get tactics done and not take the time to understand really the strategy behind what you're trying to do. And so just making sure to take that step back, look at your competitors, even if you don't think you have any, because you do. Understand your target market. It's all the strategic things get pushed aside. Oh, let's put up a social media program and let's post every day. When we really look at ROI, from a marketing standpoint, you're going to find that the amount of time that you might personally spend on social media may or may not have that ROI that you're looking for if you haven't really learned where is your target market, what do they care about first. And so strategy and just making sure to think through those really basic things, really important. Secondly, and this is a journey and a long game for especially B2B long-term strategy is you've got to figure out your differentiation. And so you're going to think that you can just be an accountant or be an attorney or be an architect or whatever, and you're just going to hang a shingle and off you go to the races. But in today's environment, there is a lot of competition. And so really trying to understand what is going to make you different from the beginning. Like, why are people going to want to do business with you from the very beginning? And then working on that on a regular basis. Things are going to change in your market. Things are going to change about who you're going to go to market, and then realize that target customer might not care as much about what you do as another target customer does. So things are changing around us all the time, and you're going to continuously work on differentiation, but you need to do it from the get-go. I think really understanding how the different areas of business work together. So a lot of people hang their hat on their marketing budget. Their marketing budget is and strategy is what they think makes the company strong. But I always say, remember your operations, remember your finance, remember your sales, remember your marketing, and really remember your HR. If any of those 5 things are not performing well, it doesn't matter how good the marketing is. You need to fix the other problems. And so just remember that business is holistic, and you can't blame the sales team if the operations are not working well, or if your people who answer the phone are not representing your brand the way that they should be, or if the marketing campaign isn't just quite right. There's a lot of tweaking in every area of business that has to happen to be successful. And you've got to be able to change and adapt and understand that there's only so many of us, and we all know our name, who come out of the gate and have an overnight success. That whole idea of I was an overnight success in 30 years. That's me. Yeah. I think we've just got to remember to be adaptable and ready to change at every turn to be successful for the long haul in business.
Sound advice.
Thank you.
If anyone wants to learn more about you or Hummingbird Creative Group, how can they reach out?
Sure. Pretty easy. So we're easily found on a Google search for Hummingbird Creative Group, and we're located in Cary, North Carolina. But our URL is hummingbird-creative.com. And I also have a podcast at hummingbird-effect.com. And you can find me on LinkedIn.
On that note, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We will be back next week.
See you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
That wraps up this episode of the BizDev Podcast. And this time you get me, Jen Baxter, co-owner of Big Pixel and David's wife. Yep, I finally took the mic, or rustled it, away from David. BizDev is a production of Big Pixel, a US-based provider of UX design, strategy, and custom software. This podcast is edited by audio whiz Matt McCracken and Christy Pronto, marketing guru for Big Pixel. Want to connect? Shoot us an email at hello@thebigpixel.net or find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, X, and LinkedIn.